So, I was rummaging through my comic book collection the other day looking for something good to read when I noticed this issue of Captain America comics from the original Golden Age series, Captain America number 78. The cover of this issue caught my eye because of this big green guy right here. It's not often you find an iconic villain in the Golden Age. They all happen to be these sort of generic mafia guys or mad scientists or whatever. So when I saw this, I knew I had to take a look. Then I noticed his name happens to be Electro. For those who don't know, Electro is a fairly famous Marvel character. He is an electric-powered supervillain named Max Dillon, who originated from Spider-Man's Silver Age series back in the 60s. So immediately I had to look into this, and I had to know, does this guy have any relation to Max Dillon? However, I discovered, spoiler alert, he really doesn't. This character is something completely different. He is actually a Soviet super weapon created specifically to be an antagonist for Captain America. His real name is Ivan Kronov. He's probably Russian, I'm assuming, but And he absolutely has no relation to Max Dillon. Ivan Kronov, aka Electro, gained his powers in the year 1954. For those who know their history, this is after the start of the Cold War. Soviet scientists worked behind the Iron Curtain for any kind of way that they can put a stop to Captain America. At this point in time, the Axis powers had long since been crushed and the Nazi Party was disbanded. So Captain America had spent the last few years doing what is essentially a victory lap across the globe, handling strange cases and spreading his message of freedom and democracy to the masses. However, this left the Soviet Union in a bit of a salty state. They were abhorrently opposed to democracy, and instead they favored communism. Because of this, they could not stand watching Captain America succeed where they had failed. Thus began the Electro Experiment, a project which would result in one of Captain America's most dangerous, however short-lived, foes. In order for this experiment to succeed, however, they would need a volunteer. This is where Ivan Kronov enters the picture. Ivan grew up in the Soviet Union and was a patriot for his motherland. However, after World War II, he watched his country suffer through massive reformations and all this political hysteria. This put him in a mood for one thing, and really only one thing: revenge against the United States. Because of this, he had no problem offering up his body for the experiment, and even though he faced certain death, he was, luckily instead, transformed into the mighty Electro, a man made of pure electrical energy. At this point, Electro was smuggled into New York City, where he was meant to assassinate Captain America. However, he was required to do this publicly, as the point of this operation was not only to kill Captain America, but to also prove the superior strength of the Soviets. So, in order to accomplish this, Electro goes to Times Square and manipulates an electric billboard to openly and publicly challenge Captain America. And it turns out this actually kind of works, because when Captain America confronts Electro, his electric powers leave Cap no choice but to run away. And this is all publicly seen, so everyone knows that Cap is being overpowered, sending a grand message to the American people that the Soviets are superior. This leaves Electro able to knock out Bucky. Then it's a simple choice for Captain America to make. He can give himself up to Electro to save Bucky, or watch as his kid sidekick is murdered by a superior force. Fortunately, Cap doesn't have to make that choice because there happens to be a water system nearby. He unleashes a downpour of water on Electro, which causes him to short circuit in a brilliant display. And that is the end of Electro. Cap and Bucky return the billboard only to find that it has been fixed and now says, "Captain America lives." So that is the short and sweet story of Electro and his failed attempted assassination of Captain America. However, Ivan would not be put to rest so easily. Like a great many Golden Age characters, he would eventually emerge again in the Bronze Age. This would happen in Captain America Annual number 13. In this story, we get a very long history of Captain America and the Red Skull as they battled across various locations. It turns out, at the end of the Second Great War, Red Skull was entrusted with a secret lockbox by Adolf Hitler himself. This lockbox apparently would hold the secrets to reviving the Nazi Party. Keen comic book historians know that the true plan to revitalize the Nazi Party were the sleeper robots, which were 5 gargantuan robots that Adolf Hitler manufactured and then planted in the ground to be awakened at a later date and then take revenge on the world. However, these sleeper robots were later discovered and destroyed by Captain America during the Silver Age, making them essentially null and void. So, if not the sleepers, what could be inside this mysterious lockbox? Well, we don't know for sure because Red Skull was intercepted by Captain America and defeated while trying to escape Germany during the fall of the Reich. In this battle, the lockbox was lost but then recovered by American forces. Later, Red Skull would return to retrieve the lockbox in hopes that he could revive the glory of the Reich, only to find it is being housed in a special United Nations vault. In order to gain access to the vault, he needed a being with mighty electrical powers. He travels to the city morgue, where he uses an EKG device to pump electricity into the corpse of Electro, bringing him back to life for one final rampage. Together, they cross the city, wreaking havoc along the way. Finally, they reach the vault, which Electro easily opens with his powers. However, and luckily, Cap and Bucky are on the scene to stop them. Red Skull immediately makes his escape without a fight, carrying the lockbox with him, while Electro keeps the duo busy. Much like before, Electro is supremely powerful and is more than a match for Cap. So in an act of desperation, Bucky drives the car straight into Electro, killing him. However, it's unclear if this truly kills him or if Electro is even capable of being killed, but his body is drained of its electricity and is incapacitated, and this is the last we will see of him in comic book continuity. So after this, Electro would only be seen one more time, featured in Captain America Comics 155, where he only appears in one panel, and it's a flashback panel, so it's really hardly even worth mentioning. But that's it. That's it for this Golden Age version of Electro. But keep in mind, I said that's it for this version of Golden Age Electro. Why? Because there are actually 3 characters in Marvel Comics continuity which have this name. The Soviet assassin we just explored, the heroic robot, and then the sentient computer. So expect videos on the other 2 coming up soon. But for now, that's all for this comic. If you liked reading this comic with me and you want to read more comics with me, like this video and subscribe to the channel. And until next time, nerds, stay heroic.